like to welcome everyone to the regular session of the Bossier Parish School Board for June 7th, 2018. We will open up with remarks from our superintendent.
Thank you, President Brothers and Vice President Cheatham, members of the board and audience. We certainly want to keep the receptionist for the parish, Ms. Donnella Fowler, in our prayers. As the receptionist at the central office. And I think everyone knows Donnella, no doubt. But Donnella had a little setback. She had a cancerous tumor that was found in her pancreatic duct, and she's had to go endure a really lengthy, comprehensive surgery today, was several hours long. However, we got a good report that she is in recovery, and so we certainly want to keep Donnella and her family in our prayers, and our entire educational family, and also our members of the Bossier Parish School Board here tonight, as you have to make a very difficult decision sometimes. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
We will have prayer by Mr. Bamberg, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Cheatham.
Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just want to lift this board up to you tonight, Lord, that we just make the decisions that would honor you, Lord. We want to lift up Ms. Donnella, Lord, that you just continue to heal her body after the surgery today. Lord, we want to pray for a safe summer for our students, Lord, our faculty, and our staff. Lord, we want to pray for the military abroad and here, that they just are safe in their jobs of protecting the citizens, Lord. In your precious name I pray.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of the regular session of the board for May 30th, 2018.
So moved, Madam President.
I have a motion by Mr. Cheatham and a second by Ms. Darby. Would you please vote? Motion carries. Approval of the agenda for the regular session of the board for June 7th, 2018.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Slack and a second by Mr. Bamberg. Please vote. Mr. Bamberg always has trouble with it. That motion also carries. 2.01, recognition, Bossier Parish School Board Good News, presented by Sonia Bell, Public Relations Liaison.
Good evening, President Brotherton, Vice President Cheatham, Superintendent Smith, all of our board members, and all of our audience here tonight. You would think that school is still in session and that it was not summer vacation, judging by the large crowd that we have here. But it was a race until the end of the school year with all the competitions that were going on, the end-of-year award ceremonies, and much more. But we did not want to miss the opportunity to basically laud all of these students' accomplishments, even if it meant persuading them to come out here tonight during their summer vacation. So, parents, the arm-twisting worked. Thank you very much for being here this evening. We first of all want to begin with Starbase 2.0. They had an especially busy year with STEM project challenges and more at the middle and high school levels. And here to provide highlights of this year's Starbase 2.0 program is Mary Beth Irvine with Starbase 2.0. So please, if you will, welcome her to the podium.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity just for me to acknowledge the hard work of our Starbase 2.0 students. we've actually already had our end-of-year celebration where we have recognized all of our students and they received their certificates and trophies, but we just could not turn down the opportunity to acknowledge them in front of the school board members and once again just to highlight those accomplishments. So we do have a small gift for them tonight, and I just want to let you know that participation in Starbase 2.0 is free of charge. It is a choice by the student, and it's made possible that it's free of charge because of the overwhelming support from the 307th Bomb Wing at Barksdale Air Force Base, as well as Bossier Parish Schools, and the countless community sponsors who offer their services and resources to just aid our initiative to provide more students more opportunities to solve problems of the future. So, with that, each year we have a project-based curriculum, and our students are challenged to complete an end-of-year project in which they are gaining skills with computer-aided design or CAD software, and these engineering challenges just really challenge them to use those critical thinking skills as well as what's been identified as 21st century skills: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. So as I give a brief description of each STEM challenge, I'm going to call the name of our STEM award winner and ask them to come to the front as I give that brief description. So for our 6th grade students, we have our STEM challenge winner, who is Noah Grady from Elm Grove Middle School, who could not be present here tonight, but I just want to tell you, these students, they had to design a paddle wheel boat that was powered by a rubber band and used CAD to design a custom design paddle wheel for that boat, and then we had judges with, they were able to receive a combined score for that challenge. So for our 7th grade students, here tonight we have 7th grade winner for our CO2 car races, Keely Henry from Cope Middle School. Go ahead and come on down. 7th grade students had the opportunity to design 2 CO2 cars for their STEM project challenge. After learning about Newton's laws, aerodynamics, and friction, they designed dragsters for the year-end STEM project challenge. One car was designed using CAD software Creo, while the second car was designed using tools. It was a basswood model, and they had to make a more aerodynamic design. So we really appreciate it. For our 8th grade rocketry, placing first, we had from Elm Grove Middle School, Team Papa, which is Ann Howard, Joni Harris, and Benjamin Culbertson. Go ahead and come to the stage. 8th grade students participated in a local competition that was a year-long rocketry engineering design challenge called RISES, Rocketry Igniting Science and Engineering Skills. They had to investigate propulsion, rocket design, and recovery, and also learn about the many variables that can affect a rocket's flight. Their quest was to launch a rocket to 425 feet while carrying and safely returning a raw insect in a time flight window of 24 to 26 seconds. And we invited our top 25% of teams to a final fly-off this year, in which they had to make 2 qualifying flights, with Elm Grove Team Papa as our overall winner. So we really appreciate you guys. For our newly developed high school rocketry program, placing 2nd in the region and 1st in Bossier, we have from Airline High School, Team Galactic Pops. Go ahead and come on down. Irene Palms, Grafton Ennis, Kylea Leon. For the 2nd year of our high school program, we really wanted to take the program to new heights, and our students participated once again in what's known as the Team America Rocketry Challenge. It is the largest student aerospace competition in the world, and these students were tasked to design and build a rocket that would go 800 feet and carry 2 raw hen eggs to 41 to 43 seconds. And this is a very, very challenging competition, and this team managed to make an exceptionally impressive flight score. Over the year, they scored 39 on one flight and 19 on another flight. The best score is 0, just to give you a reference. Even to get a score under 100 is challenging, and they managed to get almost 4 under 100. So we really appreciate you. And last but not least, we have our Award of Distinction winners. Among our middle and high school participants, we selected one student from each of our partnering schools who showed excellence in pursuing STEM studies, as well as superior dedication to our program, as well as amazing teamwork amongst their peers. And we do have 1 or 2 of those Award of Distinction winners here tonight. We have from Russian Middle School, 8th grade student Jaden Toussaint. This was his first year actually participating in 2.0, and he showed just amazing tenacity and willingness just to go above and beyond for his team as they competed in that local rocketry competition. And even with numerous obstacles, he was able to maintain focus and research information that really lended itself to their team's rocket design. And then we have, for our high school program, we have from Airline High School, he's already up here, Grafton Ennis. And among being just introduced to that challenge, immediately this student started drafting custom rocketry parts and just took it upon himself to become familiar with that CAD software and truly innovated some interesting components to his rocket, some that we have not seen at Starbase, and we really have enjoyed having him and his commitment to not only his team and the program, and really hope to see him in the future. So if you would join me in one last round of applause for these STEM winners.
Congratulations again to all of our students for their awards and most of all their participation in Starbase 2.0. We are so proud that the Starbase program, which by the way, every 5th grader in Bossier Parish has the opportunity to attend at Barksdale Air Force Base, has since grown to the middle and high school levels with Starbase 2.0, and they learn truly some phenomenal things that really get them fired up about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the principles of STEM. Another competition that brought out our students' competitive sides was State Literary Rally, and that was held recently at LSU in Baton Rouge. And these students won at the district level, earning them the right to then advance to the state level. Curriculum coordinator Fran Sprankle coordinates Literary Rally for Bossier Parish Schools, and I'd like to invite her now to come forward to tell you a little bit more about this high-stakes contest and also to make some presentations.
President Brotherton, members of the board, Mr. Smith, and guests here this evening. An academic tradition since 1909, today's State Literary Rally aims to foster a sense of fair competition among participating schools across Louisiana. Over 250,000 Louisiana high school students take part in 10 district rallies throughout the state, with more than 5,000 district winners advancing to the state rally that's held at Louisiana State University. A competition that once included declamation, spelling, obstacle courses, and potato sack races has grown to more than 80 events and includes participation from about 400 Louisiana middle schools and high schools, as well as 11 state colleges and universities. The purpose of the Louisiana High School Rally Association is to provide opportunities for students to achieve a greater awareness of the importance of education in these critical times, and to gain a renewed determination to develop their talents to the maximum by promoting keen competition and a desire for excellence, and in recognizing academic endeavors on a statewide level. Furthermore, it's a way of recognizing and rewarding students who excel at academic pursuits, which is what we're all here for. Each spring, 3 students from all subjects from every high school are sent to regional testing for Literary Rally. On February 24th, 2018, students from each of our 6 high schools attended the regional testing at either Louisiana Tech or Northwestern. Once the tests were scored at each location, notification was sent that the first and second highest scores per subject qualified for testing at the state level. This year, the state testing took place on April 21st at LSU Baton Rouge, and Bossier Parish Schools had 42 students that qualified to attend. That means 42 of our students placed either first or second in their individual regional tests. That number alone is impressive. Tonight, we are here to honor those students who not only attended the State Literary Rally, but also placed in the top scores of the state in their school division. Of the 42 Bossier students who qualified, 10 of those students placed at the state level. So I'm going to invite the students who placed to come up, and then once you get up here, I will read off what your award was. So we have from Airline High School, Chloe Brown, Rodrigo Villarreal, Austin Shelton, Selena Ruzzi, and Shania Clark. Mr. Jason Rowland is their principal, and Ms. Karen Lipsey is the sponsor. So Chloe Brown, who is not here today, placed 4th in Spanish 1. Rodrigo Villarreal placed 2nd in sociology. Austin Shelton placed 4th in world history. Selena Ruzzi, who's here tonight, had 1st place, an overall winner in Principles of Business. That means in all of the Principles of Business students, she actually, as the overall winner, placed 1st in the state. Shania, who is here today, also scored excellent in original oratory. So we have Benton High School students Beau Benoit and Chase Taylor. Carrie Cow is their principal, and Ms. Sharice Moore is their sponsor. So Beau placed 2nd in environmental science, and Chase was 1st place in IBCA. So our students from Houghton High School, Ryan Kirkhart and Megan Schaefer. Is their principal, and Ms. Tammy Hall is the sponsor for State Literary Rally at Houghton High School. So Ryan placed 2nd in financial literacy, and Megan placed 2nd in Spanish 1. And for Parkway High School, we have Dario Kosick. Waylon Bates is the principal there, and Ms. Amanda Minio is their sponsor. So Dario placed 3rd in biology, and he was actually the only one from Parkway that attended, and he actually placed at the state level, and so that's fantastic from Parkway High School. So congratulations to all of them. Y'all just stand here just a minute. Ms. Bales has something.
So we have a special award for each one of you from Bossier Parish Schools, sponsored by Caldwell Banker Gosley. It is an Award of Excellence medal that we award to top performing students as well as employees that accomplish great things at the state level as well as beyond at the national and world level. So it is my honor to present each one of you with a 2017-18, because we are technically still in the 2017-18 school year, with these awards of excellence. Congratulations to all of them, and thanks also to Ms. Frankel for being the coordinator for Literary Rally. We had a great showing from Bossier Parish Schools with these students and the others that were not able to be here tonight. Well, just before school ended, 53 Bossier Parish students and their team managers boarded a bus bound for Knoxville, Tennessee, where they went head-to-head with their peers from literally around the globe. The 19th annual Destination Imagination Global Finals brought together more than 17,000 students from all points of the world. Poland, Qatar, China, Indonesia, Australia. Those are just 5 of the more than 19 countries, I believe it is, that gathered for the Destination Imagination Global Finals. Our students earned the chance to compete at Global Finals, which is the culminating event of the season for Destination Imagination, after ranking tops at the state DI tournament. And at the University of Tennessee, they engaged in the creative process of problem solving through various hands-on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics challenges. And there were 6 categories that they competed in: engineering, scientific, fine arts, technical, improvisational, and service learning. And let me just say that our 11 teams that represented Bossier Parish schools did a fantastic job. I want to invite Joan Turret to come up. She is one of the directors for State DI. She worked with us as supervisor of gifted and talented and so many other things too. She was actually one of the appraisers or the judges at DI Global Finals this year, so she could probably tell a little bit more about the magnitude of this event, and then we're going to introduce you to our team members that competed.
Great. You bet. Thank you so much, school board. Thank you, superintendents and supervisors, for the support of Destination Imagination in Bossier Parish schools. We began with just a handful of teams about 20 years ago, and it has grown. Our participation in Bossier Parish schools was over 60 teams this year. And so all the kids that are represented here were state winners, and in some cases second place state winners, who were invited to go to global finals. And we are so proud of this program. It teaches creativity, problem solving, all the things that Ms. Bales has mentioned, and so much more. I'm the coordinator for the Gifted and Talented program, and however, you can be a student of any ability level, any interest level, any multiple exceptionality level, and you can compete in Destination Imagination because you all have wonderful gifts. All of our students are creative and have those talents, and we are so proud of them. This year, as Ms. Bale said, I was able to appraise at Global Finals. I'm bringing that training back to Bossier Parish schools, and I'm super excited to be able to do that training this year. And I wanted to mention as well, this last year in October, we lost one of our precious Destination Imagination team members, Emily Gibson from Legacy Elementary. And this year's State Destination Imagination tournament was dedicated in her memory. And the team raised money throughout that event, and people made donations, and we raised and matched almost $6,000 to donate to DIPG cancer research in Emily's honor and her memory. And so we just want to recognize for your support and for your support of that family. So with no further ado, I'm going to step back. Let Ms. Bale.
And I think that we will all agree that Emily was there at DI Global Finals in spirit. Absolutely. Well, let me introduce you to our Bossier Parish representatives at DI Global Finals. And they did win at state level and then competed at the world level. So I'm going to have Ms. Turek assist me in handing out Award of Excellence medals to each of them. We begin with Airline High School's improv team. They placed first at state. Their global finals ranking in the team challenge was 13th. Their team manager is Rachel Lawton, and our team members are Landry Ray, Piper Oswald, Brooke Reagan, Caroline Ponder, Dylan Marrow, and Joel Marsars. Our Airline High School scientific team's state ranking, first place. Global Finals ranking in the Team Challenge, 41st. Team manager is Laura Touch, and team members are Eric Romero, Kyle Hollis, Ashlyn Gibson, Spencer Faber, Carly Jarman, Blaine Theodis, and Grace Vila. our Houghton High School Team Challenge. First place winners in the state. They tied for 34th in the Team Challenge at Global Finals. Team manager is M. Ellen Allen, and team members are Grant Allen and Tyler Villiard. Our Houghton High School Fine Arts team placed first at state, 53rd in the Team Challenge at Global Finals. Team manager is J.J. Stolka, and our team members are Kaylee Huckabee, Andrew Morton, Shelby Roy, and Lawson Turner. From Benton Middle School, Drop Zone Middle School. You might have to explain that to me. Excuse me. Engineering Structural Challenge. First place at state, they tied for 52nd at Global Finals. Team manager Rachel Elliott. Excuse me. And team members are Peyton Pritchard, Leighton Sanders, Jack Elliott, and Turner Hubbard. Our Elm Grove Middle School scientific team placed first at state, 45th in the Team Challenge and Global Finals. The team manager is Crystal Gann, and our team members are Milana Harris, Sammy Busonmas, Nicholas Hollis, and Savannah Gann. Our Elm Grove Middle School Improv team placed first at state, 55th in the Team Challenge Global Finals. Team manager is Ashley Johnston, and our team members are Kalila Rushing, Dayton Shelton, Quentin Stott, Cora Simpson, Rush Phipps, and Jacob Brantmeyer. Our Kingston Elementary Community Service team placed first at state, 26th at Global Finals in the Team Challenge. Team manager is Lee Chamberlain, and team members are Machen White, Lainey Machen, Arden Smith, and Allison Ardwan. City Elementary Fine Arts team placed second at state, 49th in Global Finals Team Challenge. Team manager is Jackie P., and our team members are Zoe Lawrence, Charlie Dunlap, Sophia Grimm, Asher Harville, Connor Harden, and Brendan Burke. Sun City Elementary also had a technical team, and they placed first at state, 47th at Global Finals in the Team Challenge. Their team managers are Maria and Robin Herring. And team members are Lily Perez, Annabeth Leal, Jennifer Den, Malachi Corey, Wyatt Sussdorf, and Emma Morgan. But not least, we have the WT Elementary Improv team. They placed first at state, 37th in the Team Challenge at Global Finals. Their team managers are Christina Glass and Stacy Faber. Our team members are Brady Gatos, Kansan No, Tyler Rich, and Catherine Pittman. Congratulations to all our teams that competed at DI Global Finals. And were there any other team members that are in DI or who accompanied the teams to DI Global Finals in the audience that would stand? Right here. It was a great learning experience, chance to compete, and made new friends from all points of the world, literally. So congratulations to our DI Global Finals teams, and to Ms. Turek also, and our team managers for all the hard work that they put into the DI program. Finally, this evening, we want to honor someone that we are very proud to claim as one of our own, and that is School Resource Officer James Wanadier. If I can ask Deputy Wanadier to please come forward. You may have seen him on TV recently or read about him in the newspaper, but Deputy Wanadier is the SRO at Benton High School, and he was recently named the Louisiana Sheriff's Association Deputy Sheriff of the Year for the state. As you can probably guess, this is a huge honor, as this organization represents nearly 14,000 deputy sheriffs statewide. He was the one out of 14,000 chosen for this coveted honor. He was chosen for his selfless service, his passion for leading and mentoring the youth of Bossier Parish. He is a retired deputy chief from the Bossier City Fire Department, and he's been with the Bossier Sheriff's Office for the last 5 years and at Benton for the last 2. As an SRO, Deputy Wanadier goes far beyond his required duties by volunteering as a boat captain for the Benton High School fishing team, volunteering for batting practice for the softball team, attending all the extracurricular activities, even when he's not on duty, and much, much more. He is also known for his proactive efforts in maintaining a positive rapport with everyone he comes in contact with and keeping the Benton High School campus safe. But it's the relationships that he builds with the students there at Benton High that make such a difference. Deputy Wanadier was recognized on the floors of the House and the Senate during a trip to Baton Rouge, as well as to the office of the governor. And this honor just speaks highly of Deputy James Wanadier's character, both personally and professionally. And Bossier Schools is so proud to have him among our ranks and to also present you with this award of excellence. Brotherton, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Bell. Do we have any Bossier Youth Leadership students here tonight? No? We do have 3. Okay, when they clear out, we're going to let you tell us your name and the school you're representing. And before you leave here tonight, make sure you get one of us to sign your paper. Okay, if you would state your name and your school.
I'm Sydney Allen Littleton. I go to Airline High School. Hi, I'm Haley Mulhern. I go to Airline High School as well.
My name is Trevor Ross, and I attend Airline High School as well.
We're glad to have you here tonight. Like I said, before you leave, get somebody to sign your paper.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. 3.01 request award of legal journal presented by Frank Rougeau, Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening, President Brotherton, Superintendent Smith, and school board members. We had one bid for our legal journal for the 2018-2019 year. That was the Bossier Press Tribune. It was the same bid that they've had for the same price for the last several years, $18,000, all inclusive for the entire year. So we recommend that the board appoint Bossier Press Tribune as our legal journal.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Van Berg and a second by Mr. Newman. Please vote now. That motion does carry.
Thank you.
3.02 request the mileage reimbursement rate presented by Frank Rougeau, Chief Financial Officer.
For provided some information on board docs. We've been asked to gather some information just for information for the board. Our current rate is 44 cents per mile for reimbursement. It is lower than some of our comparable sized school districts. So we put this information together for you, and with rising gas prices, we've had some inquiries about this, so we wanted to give you the information. Do you have any answer any questions?
Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Rougeau, is it my understanding that we in turn, if we were to approve up to the state of Louisiana at 53 cents a mile, we would be able to write off the $35,000 increase? Or how would that work being a public entity? I know how it works in the corporate world, but
Yeah.
I'm subject to these same stipulations.
Yeah, we're not subject to federal income taxes like a corporation, so it would just be another added expenditure out of our general fund, and the federal programs would also have to absorb their portion of this as well.
And these are verified miles that our employees can put on their vehicles for homeschooling, for check-ins, for travel between facilities.
Right, our itinerant teachers, the different ones that are required to travel as part of their job, so that's correct.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we increase the mileage reimbursement to the Louisiana state level of 53 cents per mile. I, for one, fall under this. I know several of the board members have as well in the past, and I feel like we should do this in order to fairly compensate those employees that are putting the wear and tear on their vehicles.
I have a motion by Mr. Newman, a second by Mr. Cheatham. Any discussion? Please vote. The motion does pass.
Okay, we'll put that into effect as of July 1st.
Thanks. 3.03, request approval of bid awards for bread and bread products, frozen food, meat, poultry and fish, food, water and alternative juice, chemical and cleaning supplies, paper and plastic tray, presented by Frank Ruccio, Chief Financial Officer.
All these bids are in order. Be happy to answer any questions.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cheatham and a second by Mr. Kelly. Please vote. Well, what you do today?
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes. 3.04, report, Buildings and Grounds Planning and Development Committee meeting held June 5th, 2018, presented by Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. As a member of the board and sitting in for our chairman, Mr. Bachhaus, couldn't be here tonight. We met on June 5th at 4:30. We had a quorum, and we also had several other board members in attendance as well. Items requiring board action. Number one, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve change order number 3 for Bossier High School artificial turf, project CM 1301C for incidental paving in the amount of $149,560 funded by the 2012 Bond Construction Fund. This passed out of committee.
Any questions, Mr. Bamber?
I wasn't able to attend the committee meeting. What paving was?
This is going to be the sidewalk and surrounding area around the turf to help keep the dirt and other grass from washing onto the field when it rains. So this is a perimeter sidewalk all the way around the house.
So they're putting a curb on that to alleviate the dirt going over the sidewalk onto the field?
That's going to be in our second agenda item. Part of that is.
Okay.
Mr. Lott.
I spoke with Mr. Norwood today. Mr. Norwood, and I voted for this the other evening, but this $149,000 for this concrete is coming out of the bond money. Could you explain to the board the purpose for this sidewalk?
Yes, sir. Mr. Newman did give a brief explanation. This is the paving that we normally would have done incidental to the turf, just to provide a concrete apron and sidewalk around it, to have some separation between the turf and the grass adjacent. It just helps with maintenance. It also provides some accessibility. With regard to a curb, the way that it's designed, there'll be a partial curb on the west end because that's the high, I think that's the low side of the field, but there's a grade adjustment there they're doing with the step. We're also looking at some additional skirting on the stadium to shield the dirt under the stadium from washing onto that concrete, which is already there. There's a concrete flume, which is a shallow, curved sidewalk type of structure with drains in it, adjacent to the stadium bleachers on both sides. And this project completes the paving around the perimeter on both ends and some sidewalks going to and from it. We propose some additional work to address some of the other identified potential needs there, including accessibility. But the curbs would be partial as appropriate to the grading around the stadium.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Slack?
Can that work be finished before the first game?
Yes, sir. The project is actually complete as of today, and so we'll have a second milestone for the completion of this work. And I apologize, I didn't bring the change order with me. I forget the exact number of days, but we're having a ribbon cutting next week, which I believe is the 12th at 4 p.m., and you've been invited to that as well as the community. And so this work will commence immediately afterward, and it should not take that long to complete it.
Mr. Lott?
Mr. Orr, what if we don't move forward with this project at the present time? If we were to postpone it to, say, a later time or a year down the road?
Are you referring to the change order, this item, or the next item?
I'm talking about the item that we're fixing to vote on. It's $149,000.
Well, we would have some problems with the grading. If you look at it right now, what you'll see is gravel, where there should be some concrete. When this project was originally designed, we were directed by the board for all 4 or 5 fields to keep it to bare bones minimum. And so we did not have some of this paving that we normally would have just for concerns of budget. But we had a good result on our bids, and so the money is within the project to be able to do this. And so we're recommending that we really do need to do this to complete the project.
Mr. Baker, did you?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about I don't know which end of the field is, the part by the school board, I think. You're talking about putting a whole apron sidewalk around that end instead of just for accessibility, or would a curb do the same exact thing to keep the dirt off the field? I know nobody walks down that side anyway.
The way the field is designed, there is a curb, and it's at grade, and there's a fence in it. It's too late to put another curb. That would be more expensive than the sidewalk, probably. But again, this sidewalk is on the end zones primarily. It'll come wrap around the end zones and connect to the concrete flumes that are in front of the bleachers to complete the perimeter on the east and west ends. And we really feel like it will be the minimum that you would normally do just to protect your investment.
But we didn't put that in the initial.
No, sir, we were asked to keep it to a bare bones minimum because we were trying to fund several schools and the funding source hadn't been identified. So what we did when this project was authorized to save time, because we had a time crunch, is we took that very project right out of that set and packaged it for an individual bid. And so this was not your normal project because there were some corners that were cut to begin with just to try to make it happen. And then the reason they weren't corrected is the time factor. We didn't have time to redesign the project.
And I'm all for saving as much money as we can, but words like cutting corners, I wasn't unaware that we cut any corners in the bid process.
Well,
that we're going to have to come back and spend money. I mean, I'm all for this change.
consultant did a good justification for this by presenting several aerial photographs of other local fields that were similar, that have an almost identical layout. What we're trying to do is just bring it back up to the standard. And if you look at the field, you will see that the gravel really would not be acceptable long-term. It just looks like a temporary fix.
I understand that. If it's cut the corner then, I think we should have just been aware that, hey, we may have this issue, and I thought we had a completed project that came in under budget. Thank you.
I guess what really kind of bothered me about this, what you're saying is, if we had done the 5 fields, would we have cut corners so much that we would have left all of them with this problem? I guess that's what bothers
I think
me.
some of them have the track surrounding them. This doesn't have a track surrounding it, it's just grass. So where there's track, there's already a curb installed and a barrier installed, where this one and Airline, there's no track, so there's nothing there already. Alton Parkway didn't have a track, and there's already something there to keep grass and debris and mud washing onto the dirt.
Gotcha.
The other alternative is just to have grass right up to the edge, which, as I said, would have a potential maintenance effect. Would be more problem to maintain it, to cut the grass and keep the grass off.
I understand that. I appreciate that explanation. Anyone else? It's out of committee, would you please?
I'm sorry, one more question.
Okay.
So, Mr. Norwood, could you kind of run through the money again with us? I mean, for us, start with the $1 million and tell us how much of that we've expended and how much above that we're talking about expending.
Yes, sir. Originally, we had some estimates that we obtained from 2 different professionals in this area of design, and they ran between $800,000 to $1 million, depending on which of these extras or improvements you had attached to the actual turf field. And so we presented you a range of values with and without this at that time at the committee meetings. And the decision was made to go with the lower estimate. And at that time, the lower estimate was $800,000 to $900,000, and the upper was $900,000 to $1 million, or a little more than $1 million for construction costs. That doesn't include the cost of the surveys and the testing and the professional services, and typically those run 10 to 20%. So for each field, we had the best estimate that we could obtain at that time, but they were just estimates. We also had $1 million allocated in the re-envision downtown Bossier City cooperative endeavor with the city and the parish to resurface the track of Bossier High, which was not a designated competition track for Bossier Parish. So the request was made to use the $1 million instead of on the track, to use it on the turf field, and the city agreed to that. And so at that point, that allocated $1 million in addition to whatever funds we had available as bond funds. The way this was presented originally to the board was a total construction cost and project cost with all the fees, and testing, and everything at $1.45 million, which means $1 million directly from the agreement with the city, and another $450,000 from the bond fund. That's the way it was presented and approved. Now, we had a better result when we opened bids. We got a better bid price than originally expected. So our cost estimates actually were on the lower end, which is good news. So with that said, the original contract was less than $1 million. And so the city covered the entire expense of the field, and we were just covering the professional services, which had already been approved by the board previously. Then with 2 change orders, one for fencing around the end zone, and then this change order, that brings the total cost up to $1 million and just over $50,000. So $50,000 approximately would come from the bond fund. The rest is paid for with the cooperative endeavor. And again, the other expenses that were previously authorized are still under the total allocation authorized by the board previously. I don't have those exact numbers on all the fees, but it's formulaic and based on the construction cost.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Anyone else? This was out of committee. Motion passes.
Item number 2, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board authorize project CM 1301D, Bossier Stadium improvements, with a contract amendment for design services with ARE Consultants Incorporated in bidding of the project at an estimated construction cost not to exceed $225,000, funded by the 2012 Bond Construction Fund. This passed in committee.
Mr. Lott?
Mr. Norwood, again, we discussed this today. This improvement's for $225,000. Could you explain to the board what all we're getting for $225,000? Basic, just the basic.
Yes, sir.
Items.
The short list was emailed to you last week with the building and grounds, and these are items that we presented as options. We're going to scope these out. We're going to try to come up with cost estimates to go with some of these we don't have and bring back to you a recommendation on which one to do. It would include possibly some additional paving under the stadium, skirting along the bottom of the bleachers, just as some added protection to keep the dirt out. Accessibility improvements to the restrooms, which would include ramps, because none of the restrooms are accessible. They all have steps, and possibly one accessible or 2 accessible family restrooms on the home side or the home and the visitor side, and some electrical service and domestic water service and area lighting. That would be helpful when events are held there. And again, those are some things that were identified when we met with the school and with the city of Bossier City. But we haven't finalized the list yet, and we want to bring that back to you through the committee at a later date. But we've identified that we have that amount of funding available for construction within the project, and that's where that number came from. It's not based on the full list, it's based on the funding that isn't otherwise obligated at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Norwood. My problem with this is, we're basically fixing to vote to give access to spend $225,000 on possible options that we as a board not necessarily voting on tonight. We're just basically saying we're going to give you a blank check for $225,000. Spend all of it if you want to, or just spend $100 if you need to. And the only thing that I see, or what I hear, that my understanding is there's not even total agreement on some of the options that you just mentioned. I could possibly understand if we're going to bring the bathrooms up to code, but I mean, to me, this is saying give us $225,000 authority to spend, but we don't know how we're going to spend it yet. So I voted against it in the committee, and I have to vote against it tonight. To me, it'd be better if you could come to us and say, this is what we need to do, and this is what it's going to cost, and then we approve that.
Mr. Neighbor? Mr. Neighbor,
Yeah, and I have the same concern that Mr. Lott does. I'd like to have a price tag on what we're spending. I think that's our due diligence that we should do as a board. It's a little concerning to me that we're talking about spending $149,000 in item 1 to protect the field from dirt, and then we come back in item 2 and we're putting skirting in to keep the dirt out. And as far as I know, and I haven't been to a lot of football games there, have we ever had dirt come onto the field underneath the stadium as it was? I mean, we might have lowered the level of the field when we did this.
Yes, sir, the grade's been lowered. You can see it under the bleachers. You can see a little dirt ledge. We've discussed several scenarios. And to answer your other question, it was just 2 weeks ago that we were asked to bring this information back.
Right.
And we spent the last 2 weeks meeting with all the involved parties trying to identify what the major items were. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah, and I would be one, I would probably
compliance because we're currently in violation for the bathrooms and things like that. The lighting and electrical, that is safety issues and things like that. What we're doing is taking probably, I think, the oldest stadium in the parish and bringing it up to code a little bit for ADA. So I understand wanting a price tag on this, but we have to allocate funds in order to get them to bring us pricing back, and that's what this 225 addresses. At the same time, it was broken out separately from the item number 1, because if we were to add these two together, then we go into a bidding scenario, if I'm not mistaken, and then that's a whole other project. So that's why they were split apart primarily, was so we didn't have to go through a bidding process, so we can send these out, do the perimeter skirting or paving, excuse me, and then have time to review these other things under the $225,000 maximum for things that we needed to be done, but we had to allocate some funds as far as bookmarking them in order to get that pricing back. So that's kind of where we're at with this. Was I too far off on that?
No, sir. Just to solve the concern, the motion can be amended to take out and bid, to take out the authorization to bid, and then we would just bring you back the recommendations and then request further authorization to go forward. But what we're asking for, since again the committee directed us to bring this information back to the committee, is further direction. Do we do the next step? Do we spend the money to look into it or not? That's where we are right now. Without this authorization, we're really on hold. But if you want us to bring back some recommendations for the additional improvements, we'll need some sort of authorization from the board.
I have Mr. Cheatham next.
I would say normally I would lean towards, not being so broad on this. I think part of the reason it was brought to us 2 weeks ago, and my concern here and my caution to the board members is, we want this field to be up and going for next football season. And so I think that's why we've been in a rush, and maybe we're trying to push this through pretty quickly. But I don't believe that the people that work for us are per se getting a blank check here. I believe they're going to continue to be. We pay Mr. Norwood and Mr. Babineau. I tell them every day I've got my eyes on them every time I see them. They work for us, and they're going to do what they can with this. The last thing I'd like to do, and I always bring up Parkway, but we didn't finish Parkway High School when we built it, and we've had problems and issues, and we're just now here in a minute going to talk about a road that connects so you can have a ring road around the school. The last thing I want to see us do is the city partnered with us and gave us $1 million to do this field, and then we have it not finished or unfinished, or the first weekend we try to use it, we've got mud running on the field. So I'm in favor of this. I don't really like how it's worded per se, if I was nitpicking it, but I do believe we need to finish the job and do it correctly.
Mr. Kelly's next.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is, what is the impact, if any, on the schedule to get this ready for the first game, with the timing of using the stadium? In other words, if we delay again, what does that do to the timing and sequence?
By your vote for the change order that you just approved, you've taken care of having the field ready, and it will be ready before the beginning of football season. We don't have a schedule yet on these improvements, and until we have them fleshed out, I couldn't give you an exact timeline. But a lot of these could take place during the season because it wouldn't impact the use of the field. But that's still to be determined. Regardless of how we vote tonight, we can still bring you back recommendations before we go forward. All you have to do is tell us to do that. I tried to have an all-inclusive motion to keep this moving forward because that's what I understood to be the desire of the committee. But it's your discretion on how you approve this and how you word this, and we'll go from there. So we've identified a number of potential needs, and for once, we have some funding available within the project to do. So it's your discretion on what we do and when we do it.
Mr. Wiggins.
Thank you, Madam President. I fail to see the major problem with this. When the construction funds were allocated
Well, first of all, the city gave us $1 million, which we appreciate very highly. But when the construction funds are allocated, Moser got a minuscule amount. We got some money for wiring and maybe a few other things. Many schools got millions. We didn't complain. So this is going to enhance the work that's being done for the money from the city. I don't see a problem. We need to do the same thing for Moser High that we've done for others. And I don't see a problem with voting for it. I will vote for it. Happy. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Mott?
I'll just say this, and I'll be through. And I said this the other night in the committee meeting. I've got several problems with it. Number one, and I don't know Mr. Norwood, I know the other night, and I'm assuming that this item here that we're fixing to vote on, you talked a minute ago about some of the options that were available. Is in this $225,000 motion that we're fixing to vote on, is that also one of those options about ambulance drives? Is that in this $225,000?
That was proposed, but we haven't decided.
Is it in this option?
Nothing is in this number yet.
Okay,
Depending on how you vote tonight, Clarence Babineau will do the schematic design, and he will take those things into account.
Okay.
I would recommend personally that be done as an additive alternate and not be done as a part of a base bid. But we're not there yet until we're given some direction by the board.
Okay, but the wish list,
yes, it was.
that's in one of the options that you referred to.
Yeah, there are actually two on the list.
Okay, but that's one of the options that you referred to.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that who's going to make the decisions on what options are done for that $225,000?
The way it's normally done is we'll do some preliminary legwork, and we'll meet with Mr. Smith and Mr. Downey and the principal, and we'll try to come to some decision about what's prudent. And if it's not fairly obvious and we need further direction, then we would need to bring it back to the committee.
But the board would have already voted to approve you of this spending, right?
You're trusting us, yes, you are.
We've already voted to let you spend $225,000, and we're depending on everybody else to make the right decision.
Yeah, and you wouldn't normally hold.
So the answer would be yes.
Yes.
The second problem I have, and I mentioned this several times, I mentioned to you earlier today, Bossier High School had a list of needs, just like every other school has had a list of needs and how much money they were going to get to take care of those needs. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And then, at this point, Bossier High School has $225,000 to $500,000 to $750,000, somewhere in those figures, money that they did not need to take care of the needs that they had listed. Correct?
The process that I explained to you was we identified a lot of potential needs.
I'm sorry?
The process that I explained to you today, and it was in December of 2016, is we met with the principal and the architects. We did a detailed needs.
Bottom line is there was money that has not been spent.
I really would like to answer your question accurately, if you'll allow me to.
Give me a shorter version.
I cannot do that.
Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
We've already had this conversation
Go ahead.
once today. I'd like to repeat the same information I gave you earlier. We had a process where we evaluated all the needs, and we put cost with those, and then we prioritized. And all of the priority one needs were taken care of. The remaining needs, we had some discretion. And as I explained at that time, and you will recall, I said that we don't only depend on the principal to make those decisions. We also work with maintenance and with those priorities. That's the process. That process was occurring at the time that the presentation was made at this podium, that all of that funding was available. But that did not come from any of us. It came from the school level.
Correct.
That is what occurred. So there was at that time approximately $3 million that had not been identified as an absolute need. Does that answer your question, sir?
That's basically what I said to begin with. There was $750,000 that was not needed to be spent.
Yes. And at this time, the amount appears to be around $500,000.
Okay.
After.
That's what I said. We had money that was not needed to be spent on their initial needs.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My point to that is, and we mentioned this the other day on the big building, 171,000 roughly, give or take, that was left over from other school projects. So basically, we're talking about somewhere around $750,000 right here of money, and I don't know what else we have left over. But my point is, we've got schools that are in need of these funds, and it's almost like, well, this money belongs to Bossier High School, and I'm a alumni of Bossier High School. I love the Bearcats, but we have items that needs to be taken care of at other schools. And I just don't see where we're being prudent with the taxpayers' dollars of putting it to where that it needed the worst. And I'm not saying this is not a needed project or a worthy project, let me say it that way. I'm sure it is a worthy project, but do we need to do that right now when we have other things that need to be built? That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Mr. Cheatham.
I'll just say this, we have given money in the last few months to Houghton for their baseball facility, to Parkway for some restroom facilities, to Plain Dealing for a press box. I don't believe we're spending less money with this project to finish this and make sure it's done right than we did at all those other schools. I believe some of us, were against the idea of turf fields from the get-go, and we're pushing against this because we didn't push against the Plain Dealing press box. We didn't push against Parkway's restrooms or Houghton's as well. So I think we're beating a dead horse there, and I'm ready to vote.
Question?
Okay. Mr. Newman, you were first. Did you?
I'll defer to
Mr. Vandenberg.
Well, and trust me, I'm a proponent of turf. I was one of the largest proponents for turf on the board. I want our projects to be done correctly. But I know that when we do a change order, if it's over $50,000, it has to come to us as a board to know what's going on. That being said, right now, we're doing a change order that we have no idea what it's for. And whatever amended motion I can make to have you go find out what that is and come back to us with a number, I'd like to make that, because it's not a blank check. I know it's a limited amount. I know we got some needs there. If it's ADA, absolutely. I'm not going to be against any of these things, but as a board member, where we're always notified if a change order goes over $50,000, there's a reason for that. And I think this is kind of getting outside of that parameters of what, as a board member, when we're watching the dollar bills, what we should be doing. I'm not saying any of these things are not going to, I'm not going to be for these things, but I'm not going to, I just want to be more informed as a board member where this $225,000 is going. And so I don't know if I can replace an amendment. So, I don't know if it takes time. Does it take more time to where you can come back with some items and some dollar bills to go along with them specifically?
No, sir. I don't think.
Doesn't change the motion a
It
whole
would
lot.
not require any additional action on your part to make that happen. You simply tell us to report back before we go to bid. It's that simple. But just to be clear, you would also be approving the bid. It's not a change order. It's a separate project. They go through the whole design process and costing process, and then it has to be advertised in the bid, and then you would approve it or not approve it at that point. But we don't have to wait till then. We can bring back updates and tell you where we are and what we recommend and get your endorsement before we go forward.
This
Or
particular
you
item is
can-
not a change order. It is what he said. They do have to bring us the information before we move forward with it, period. The end. It's not a change order.
Just for clarification, the reason that we're presenting it to you this way is to address these very type of concerns. We're being very careful to do this correctly and to have bids and have the process instead of just doing a change order.
Okay, if we send it out to bid, we've allocated the money already. We can't say no at that point, correct?
Well, it's pretty obvious to me what the desire of the board is to have some feedback before we go that far.
That's not a problem.
We have to
at all.
get the information before we can authorize it to go to bid. So if we don't authorize it to go to bid based on the information, then it doesn't go to bid.
So at this time,
And bidding of the project, it says right here.
That's what he said to modify. That's what you were talking about.
can we
Let's
modify
modify it
that?
and get done.
We need a commotion, we have a commotion, we need a motion.
Madam President, I call for a bid for a question on this, vote, on this issue as it stands.
Second.
Can we?
We just have to vote.
Vote now.
We're voting on whether to send it to bid or not right now.
No, we vote as written.
Voting as written.
Just to send it to bid. I want to make sure people understand, you're sending it to bid tonight.
So in other words,
Without our knowledge. So if we get a
No.
shot clock, we'll get a shot clock. Let's go with it.
We've got our superintendent and Mr. Down, they're both gonna review it before it goes. I mean, they're the head of the organization. Question, okay, let's vote.
And at the building and grounds meeting on Tuesday, the items were listed on there, and we went over them. There weren't as many questions on Tuesday about it.
We have 1 year.
okay, so we are going to, out of committee, correct, vote now, yes or no?
Read it again. You want me to read it again?
Read it again.
The committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board authorize project CM 1301D, Bossier Stadium improvements with a contract amendment for design services with ARE Consultants Incorporated in bidding of the project at an estimated construction cost not to exceed $225,000 funded by the 2012 Bond Construction Fund. This did pass out of committee.
Vote now. Motion passed. Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. Item number 3, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board authorize staff to review vacant and leased Bossier Parish School Board properties with the real estate agent, review deeds and contact lessees and adjacent owners to determine if any other properties are suitable for surplus and sale. This passed out of committee.
Any comments? This is out of committee, please vote. This motion passes.
Item number 4, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board name the elementary wing at Plaindealing High School at 300 East Van Street, Plaindealing, as the Carrie Martin wing in accordance with Bossier Parish School Board policy and procedures. This passed out of committee as well.
Comments? It's out of committee, vote.
I'm sorry.
Motion passes.
Item number 5, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board name the former Carrie Martin Elementary School at 600 South Perrin Street, I hope I pronounced that right, Plaindealing as the Carrie Martin Center in accordance with Bossier Parish School Board policy and procedures. This also passed out of committee.
Please vote out of committee. Motion passes.
And topics for, or items for discussion only. Mr. Norwood gave an overview of the big exterior renovation, and Mr. Babineau gave an overview and current status on bond construction projects and updates. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. 3.05 report, the Administrative Committee held June 7th, 2018, presented by Kenneth Wiggins, Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam President. The Administrative Committee did meet today at 5 p.m. We did have a forum, and we have 2 items we have to vote upon. Item 1, motion the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve the revision of policy GCC, student communicable disease, as presented. The motion of Mr. Kelly and second Mr. Lapp, and the vote was 5-0.
This is out of committee, please vote. Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. I wasn't here for this. Is there any major changes from what we currently have in place or anything like that? I mean, we're still good. We're not repealing or anything like that. Okay, thank you.
Please vote. Motion passes.
Item 2, the motion the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve the revision to policy JCDAE, cellular telephones and other electronic devices as presented. Motion by Mr. Kelly, second by Mr. Lott, is approved, recommended by a vote of 5-0. Motion passed, carried.
Out of committee, please vote. Motion passes.
Madam President, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. 3.06, request approval of trip request.
And these are in order, President.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Cheatham.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Bamber. Please vote. That motion passes. 4.01, announcement, superintendent's comments.
Thank you again, President Brotherton. Just a very quick announcement. The next board meeting is scheduled for June 21st, 6 p.m. right here at Dayton. Thank you.
Thank you. That leads us to 5.01.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
I would like for the board to consider postponement or cancellation of the July 5th school board meeting. If we could have that on the next agenda. I think that's a holiday. I don't know how well attended that meeting will be and if we will have actual business to conduct.
I think we have to put it on the June 21st, right? The June 21st.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we add that to the agenda for tonight so that we can go ahead and plan forward for that. Please.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Newman and a second by Mr. Cheatham. Please vote.
Because it wasn't on there. So it's not.
It passes. Now, 5.01.
Are we all done?
Yes, sir.
We got to add it. That was the
Oh, we had it, the vote.
Now we got to vote to do it.
So we have to have another motion?
Y'all just voted to put it on the
Okay, so
agenda.
it's on the agenda, so now we have to have a motion.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we vote on the agenda item that we just added for cancellation of the July 5th school board meeting because of holiday planning and lack of business.
Have a motion by Mr. Newman,
Second.
second by Mr. Cheatham. Please vote.
So what's our schedule after July?
We won't have a meeting then, it'll be, what is it?
19th. July 19th.
July 19th. I'm sure we'll have some committee meetings in there. What committee meeting? Did we vote?
Can I safely?
I don't know. Okay, that passed.
Good night.
Now,
Motion adjourned.
thank you. We are now adjourned. Oh, we gotta vote on that.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Slack, second by Mr. Cheatham to adjourn. Please vote.